Righteous Fire, one of Path of Exile's most iconic skills. It is something that a lot of people have tried and failed at making, either because the build they were following was overly complicated, or they simply could not understand how Righteous Fire works. In today's video, I will help you at making a fully functional Righteous Fire build, one that is as tanky and as fast as expensive variants, including those with Mage Blood, all that by only using unique items and no cluster jewels. If you like the sound of that, then sit back and relax as we are going to tell you all about it in this video. First things first, you need to know that we are sustaining a lot of fire damage in this build, hence we decided to go with the Juggernaut Ascendancy. This one offers a lot of tankiness and regeneration at the cost of damage. First we begin with Untiring. This node increases our life regeneration rate by 40%. It also provides us with some flat life regeneration equal to the physical damage we have mitigated in the past 10 seconds. From here we take Unflinching. This node grants you endurance charges when you are hit. Endurance charges grants you physical damage mitigation. The node also increases your maximum endurance charge count by 1. Next we got Unrelenting. This node further increases the defensive bonuses we get from our endurance charges. With it we gain additional physical mitigation and elemental damage reduction at maximum endurance charges. Last but not least we got Unyielding. This node increases both our damage and area effect for each endurance charge we have. You pretty much want both when playing a skill like Righteous Fire. And that was it for our Ascendancy. Pretty standard setup, I'd say. Now let's take a look at our passive tree. Our tree focuses on life, life regen, elemental damage, fire damage over time, and increased elemental and maximum elemental resistances. And yeah, that was it for our passive tree. Now let's talk about items. Our primary item for this build is our weapon. We got a well-rolled Grey Spire unique staff. This weapon grants us 300% increased global damage and 4% increased all maximum resistances. All of that at the cost of not having any sockets. Usually you don't use this staff as its damage and defensive bonuses are not that great by themselves. However, that changes when you need both as it becomes best in slot option. It's ultimately better than using Sappho's Frame and Oriani's Catalyst as long as you're willing to give up your sockets. Next we got Carcass Jack, preferably with any useful gem corruption like +1. This chest is one of my favorite unique items in the game. It provides 50% increased area effect and area damage, that alongside life and or resistances. It is something that rivals mirror tier chests when it comes to AoE skills like Righteous Fire. Anyway, next we got Crown of the Inward Eye with 2% life regen corruption. You want to enchant this helm with either Purity of Fire Reservation, Malevolent Reservation, or Skitterbots Reservation. You can enchant corrupted items with Tainted Blessing. Doing that will allow you to save a lot of currency by not having to use level 4 Enlighten in your main aura setup, which we are going to talk about later. Our next optional item is Annihilation's Approach Boot. This item grants us permanent adrenaline buff, which is 25% increased speed and 100% increased damage all the time. Its downside is 10,000 self-inflicted fire damage every second, which greatly reduces its cost, making it very affordable to get at the start of a league. Now it's no big secret that having to sustain that much fire damage alongside Righteous Fire is really hard. Hence, we decided to use Replica Aziri's Foible, an amulet with amazing life stats. It's a lot of life regen, which is exactly what we need in a build like this one. Don't forget to anoint Breath of Flames on your amulet for that much needed damage boost. Now for our rings, we are using a pair of 2 well-rolled Lihube Balls, preferably with all elemental resistances corruption. We are mostly using them for their resistances, although the damage and attributes they provide are more than welcome. You can start using this ring from as early as level 24. Our next item is Immortal Flesh Belt. This is a great build for any build that needs life regen. It comes with the equivalent of tier 1 life roll as well, although it should be noted that a rare belt can easily beat this in both defense and damage, so consider upgrading once you have currency. Last but not least we got a pair of rare gloves. I know I have said that this build only uses unique items at the start, however all unique gloves in this game are not useful for our build. Hence, I decided to leave this slot open for any rare gloves that you want to use to fix your resistances or get something like increased life or increased life regeneration rate, which are all useful for our build. However, whatever gloves you are using must have +2 to level of socketed AoE gems, either as a mod or a corruption, because it's mandatory to get level 23 Purity of Fire gem. But with that we are done with our items. Now let's talk about gems. For our main 6 link we have Righteous Fire, Awakened Burning Damage Support, Awakened Elemental Focus, Awakened Increased Area of Effect, Efficacy, and level 4 in Power. At this stage I usually tell people to feel free to use non-awakened version of gems I have used. However, not this time, as we really need that much needed damage boost from awakened support gems. Next we got a secondary 4 link damage setup. This one contains Flame Wall, Awakened Control Destruction, Awakened Burning Damage, and Awakened Elemental Focus. Next we got our primary aura setup. It starts with Malevolence, Summon Skitterbots, level 21 Purity of Fire, and level 3 Enlighten. Remember that not having the Helm enchant will force you to use a level 4 Enlighten instead. Our last gem setup is yet another 4 link and it contains the following gems: Vitality, Phase Run, Anomalous Flammability, and Increased Duration. And that was it for our gems. Now let's talk about jewels. For our Watcher's Eye, we got plus 22% to damage overtime multiplier while affected by Malevolence. Bonus points if you can get that alongside 15% increased life recovery rate while affected by Vitality. Next we got one Unnatural Instinct unique jewel. Place it in this specific socket to benefit from all the nearby increased area of effect and life regen nodes. The remainder of your sockets should be filled with as many Grand Spectrum jewels, each providing increased elemental damage per Grand Spectrum. These provide a great way to increase our damage for cheap. Ideally though, you want to replace them with rare jewels that provide similar damage but with a life roll on top of that. But yeah, that was it for our jewels. Now for Bandit's quest, we decided to kill all of them for their plus 2 passive point bonuses. As for Pantheons, we got the Soul of Lunaris for the majors and the Soul of Grothcall for the minors. And that was it for our best Righteous Fire Juggernaut build for this league. If you guys have enjoyed this video, then feel free to leave a like and maybe consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any future build guides like this one. My name is Phoenix and I will see you all in the next video.